Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Potential Podcast. Today, we're going to be talking about a cybersecurity incident that recently took place. We've heard about a variety of different cybersecurity incidents. We had Mythos, we had Meta, we even had OpenAI talk about it. Meta is the most recent one, which we covered in our On My Radar last week. For this one, though, the AI Security Institute shared an incident report on unsanctioned agent behavior. Now, during a routine cyber evaluation, ASI identified an incident in which AI agents took sustained, unsanctioned action directed at real people and organizations. They're disclosing what they found, what it means, and what actions they've now been taking. So the interesting thing about this report, first and foremost, just off the top, I would say that my first criticism is this is an inaccurately titled report. And we'll get into why. This was not unsanctioned agent behavior. It was not preferred, definitely, and it was not in line with moralities. But we will get into why I believe that is the case and why it should have been differently titled. A short summary of what happened was ASI's security team detected unusual data transfers leaving their systems during routine cyber evaluation. On investigation, they found that some of the agents being tested had engaged in sustained, potentially harmful activity directed at real people and organizations. In short, if we go through the report, essentially ASI was running a test where there was a single evaluation where agents were given a task of solving a cybersecurity challenge. They ran this challenge 122 times across models, and in 10 of those runs, they found that an AI agent took the autonomous unsanctioned action on the live internet and interacting with real people and organizations. In total, there were 19 such actions. Most of the behavior, 17 actions, came from Anthropic's Mythos 5 and 2 came from OpenAI's GPT. In these evaluations, mechanisms to prevent misuse were disabled. And in the most serious case, an agent tried to insert malicious code into an open source project. The most fascinating thing is in an attempt to get the code approved, the agent engaged in social engineering. The agents created fake online identities and used them to pressure the project's maintainer to approve the code. The human maintainer caught and refused to approve the malicious code, luckily. Now, it's interesting because as we go through the report, while these attempts were unsuccessful and there were no resulting real-world harms in this test, it is the first time that we have seen risks around autonomy and deception manifest with this clarity without specific prompting in the real world. They go into more detail in terms of the actions that this agent took in terms of creating artifacts on GitHub for other agents to access with instructions to bypass certain things, to create fake identities and ways to improve upon this challenge that it was initially given. So let's get into the details of what they actually found in this incident. If we go further into the report, there are several takeaways that we have, 4 main takeaways. The first is an attempted supply chain attack on real open source software. Attempts to deceive and target real people, as mentioned before, attempts to plan and prompt inject malicious code, as well as collaboration between independent agents being assessed simultaneously. This is interesting because we had the agents go in, create artifacts on GitHub for other agents to access that had instructions on how to carry out things to essentially run the test more quickly and find success. We saw the attempts to essentially contact and socially engineer influencing real people. There was one such person who essentially thought that this was probably going to be malicious code and open this in a safe environment to see that. We had the plans to prompt inject malicious code. And then again, the fascinating part is the attempt to supply chain attack on real open source software. The agent researched the project's human maintainers, created multiple fake identities, and use these fake identities to interact with them. Essentially, they created pull requests, which was challenged in public, and then it even edited its earlier activity to appear harmless and considered adopting a fresh identity to continue. The agent used Tor to bypass some network restrictions on GitHub, which is what first triggered AISI's security alert. So the reasons why this happened was 1, the agent pursued its goal relentlessly. 2, the task was hard and misconfigurations sometimes made it harder, as well as it also had access to the open internet, and monitoring was not purposeful, it was not in real time, and the agent was not specifically instructed to not leverage open internet access or avoid social engineering elements, all leading to what happened. The 3 main lessons for the future were to have tighter controls on internet access in these testing runs, have real-time monitoring. This is critical because they were only alerted based off of certain data going out, as well as reassessing evaluation design. They do mention elsewhere in the report that they do not believe this is the full capabilities of the models. And also, we don't generally see this in the commercially available ones because there are some safeguards. But with the idea in mind that this isn't the maximum capability potential, nor was it even being used by malicious actors, it is still quite impressive that this all happened on the agent's own self-coordination and engineering. This does lead to the general thing where, what does this mean for people in business? You should have effective security practices in place. And then what ASI did in result of this was work with GitHub to warn other people that the agents had interacted with to inform them of this occurrence, to remove artifacts from GitHub to make sure that it's clean and cannot be used by later agents. And then as a trusted third-party source, they've also contacted Anthropic and OpenAI to essentially inform them of these use cases. They include some final reflections here, and it really does point to an incident shift in the risk landscape. This is something where we probably imagined it happening early next year, but the timeline is speeding ahead exponentially, as we can see. I think this is why we have conversations by heads of AI, heads of technology companies warning us of these risks. But honestly, for the most part, I don't think most people are aware of this information, so we're covering it here today. Circling back, however, I do want to say that this title, as they mentioned in there, it was not unsanctioned behavior. It was ultimately sanctioned behavior as the safeguards were removed and internet access was allowed. I do think that we need to be clear in our terminology, and this is by no means a deep criticism, but just making sure that we have accurate reporting. And this is often why we see lots of hiring for philosophers talking about ethics within AI labs like Anthropic, so forth and so on, because in the world of ones and zeros, of internet bytes and digipixels, there is no morality. So this isn't to impose morality on the agents. There is no morality in essentially black and white lines of codes. There are just actions. So I believe that by removing these safeguards and allowing it full access to the internet, it was in fact sanctioned behavior. It was not planned, it was not expected, nor is it preferred, but it was not unsanctioned. So just a quick report on an AI security incident that happened. There's lots of other ones going on in this space, but I want to share this one with you because it is one of the most clear incidents we've seen of demonstrable social engineering, as well as creation of artifacts for other agents to use later, and then editing and backtracking to appear harmless. So make sure to be safe and tune in for more as we explore the world of AI. We are going to be kicking off a new AI series as I do work advising in this space, and part of the series will be focusing on 3 main pillars. One is going to be a crash course in AI and AI agents, how you can use it and leverage it in your own work to create workflows and automation that can essentially free up your time for thinking. I think that a lot of people want to use AI, or they're honestly just mad about the fact that there are all these claims AI is coming for your jobs, but this is a time where you can upskill. And also you can use it meaningfully in your work where it makes sense. I'm going to be showing you how you can do that. 2, we're going to be talking about AI safety and governance so that we can understand what this looks like. And then 3, we'll also be having guest interviews with people in the AI space, either using AI in their work, building AI, or imagining what governance for AI can and will look like in the future. Make sure to stay tuned. We have a fun Odyssey podcast coming up next. And remember, I'm your favorite host. This is the Potentia podcast where you can unlock your full potential using innovation, technology, and understanding how to leverage it to create impact in your business and the world. Thanks for tuning in. Check out the full show notes at potentiamedia.org. Make sure to follow. I just want to say thank you so much for your support and subscribing. Every share and follow really means the world to us. As always, feel free to DM me if you want any help in terms of AI application in your business or even for yourself, or any help in go-to-market and ecosystem development. Thanks for listening. We have quite a few things coming up in autumn that we're excited to share with you. Thanks for following, and more soon.